Welcome, everyone, to today's press conference. At the head podium, we do have Executive Director for Canada's Men's Olympic Hockey Team, Steve Yzerman, and Head Coach Mike Babcock.
Question for Mike. How important is it now, before the quarterfinals, to play a strongest nation than Austria and Norway? Talk about tomorrow finish team.
Well, I think it's important that we have another game here. I think the day off today is really important for our group, and then having another opportunity to get better. Obviously, we expect a very, very strong game from the Finns tomorrow, but our preparation tonight and then through tomorrow to get ready for that game is critical. We have to continue to get better as a group.
Mike, have you spoken to Henrik Zetterberg, and do you have any indication as to how serious his injury is at this point?
Yeah, I spoke or texted with Z yesterday. Obviously he's disappointed. I mean, what an opportunity to be the captain of your team at the Olympic Games and represent your country. And as good a player as he is, he's a better man and a better leader, and so they're going to miss him. In saying that, Z's had back troubles over a number of years, and he manages it very, very well. At this point, it became where he couldn't manage it, and he's intelligent about that. He's got a long career in front of him, and so he'll get back and get looked after and get back to playing hockey, what he loves to do, as fast as he can.
Hey, right here.
Question to Mike. After the first game, would you rate or evaluate or comment on both goalies' performance, and from now on, have any clue on the strategy for the next games?
I thought both goaltenders were real strong. I thought we gave up more opportunity in last night's game, and yet both goalies were real solid. I'm going to talk to the goaltenders tonight and let them know what we're doing tomorrow. I have a good bit of time between now and then to decide.
I mean, I guess it's for both of you, just because you both have a foot in the NHL management and Olympic side of things. Just wondering what sort of role you think that NHL teams should be able to take in terms of injuries that players have coming into the Olympics, like a Zetterberg, like a Datsuk, a Stamkos, and if there should be ways for teams, NHL teams, to try to prevent players from jeopardizing the rest of their seasons with Olympic participation.
A difficult question to answer, what is right or wrong. Myself being a former player actually in 2002, coming and playing, and it was a decision to be made there. Ultimately, the guys want to be here. They want to play. It's an opportunity for some of them once in a lifetime to play in the Olympics is a big deal for the guys. So I can understand it from their point of view. It really, I think the organization and the players themselves, it's important that they have that relationship. The team understands the player's desire to go and play. A guy can get hurt walking across the street. Guys get hurt in the summer all sorts of ways. Injuries happen, but I think the player and the organization have to be, the player does have some responsibility to his organization, a lot of responsibility, but I don't know that there's a right or a wrong, and it's just trying to make a good decision prior to coming to these games. But I don't begrudge any player who wants to come and play and do what they can to play.
It's for both gentlemen. This is the biggest tournament, I believe, best on best tournament played in Russia since the '72 Summit Series. You're both of an age when in North America we had a little different perception of Russian country and Russian culture. I'm just curious about what you've seen, what you've felt since you've been here. Has it surprised you? All those things.
I think this is my fourth trip to Russia. My first being to St. Petersburg in 1983 when it was Leningrad. Been to Moscow a couple of times, and now here to Sochi. I really haven't left the village. We've been here watching a lot of hockey, and it's been fantastic in the village. Everything about it. Obviously, the beautiful blue sky is nice. I've only been really in Russia in January, and it's a little, here in the south, it's been fantastic. It's well organized. Everything about the village has been really good. All the employees or volunteers have been super helpful and friendly and polite. So we've been, it's been a really good experience, so far, really good experience.
Yeah, I concur. I think it's fantastic, actually. From the food to where you stay to how you get to events to the people, the whole thing is, I think it's incredible.
Question for you, Steve. It's your fourth Olympics, 2 as a player and 2 in management. I wonder if you could just sort of absorb so far how this compares to the other experiences and how much all of them are, have been relevant in your life.
Different, as a player, you're focused on your game and your practice and your rest and your food. Management a little bit different. Majority of our work was done leading up to announcing the team on January the 7th, watching hockey, meeting, discussing players, working with the coaching staff. Now for our role is mostly just supportive, and we go and watch the games, and we're there to give another opinion whether they want it or not. But again, they're all very interesting, incredibly exciting, and love just being here. I think even you would agree, Pierre. Being here is special, whether you're an athlete, a part of management, part of the press, or a spectator. They're special events.
All right, question for Mike. Can you talk about besides the obvious advantage to pass the quarterfinals directly, can you talk about the advantage of winning the group as far as the rest goes, the practices you can get and all the rest?
Well, obviously, that's your goal. You'd like to finish first in the group. Last time, I think we were the 6th seed, and in the end, we won. So there's lots of paths. The most important thing for me is that we get better as a team each and every day. And if we get better as a team, we're going to have an opportunity in the end, I think, to be successful. It's a fine line, and I try to tell people this all the time, is that we had to beat the Swiss in a shootout. Luongo made a save laying on his back against the Slovaks to keep the game alive, and we had to beat the U.S. in overtime. It's a fine line. It's a fine line. But we're excited about that opportunity and that it is a fine line. If it was easy, it wouldn't be near as much fun.
Tim?
Mike, last night you said that you gave the entire team a day off, and I just wondered what your thought process was on that. Was any part of it maybe a case of information overload, because the coaching staff seems so prepared coming into this, and you tried to cram a lot into those 3 days before the first game?
Well, I think a big part of it is the NHL schedule. You can just imagine the meetings these guys have had with their own teams preparing for each and every day and the amount of games we've played coming in. I just know my own team. It seemed like we played every single day. It was exhausting for that. Then you travel over here and then you jam them full of information. You practice them too hard, really, before 2 games. We never practiced. We practiced 56 minutes the day before our first game. That would never happen in the NHL, well, at least not if I was running the team. And so when you think about that, what you've done, the other thing is everybody needs to breathe. I saw Duncan Keith at breakfast. He told me, these late games, we've tried to turn 9 o'clock into 7 o'clock by the time we get up and what we do with the day. But it's 2:30 in the morning. You're sitting around every night, and then body clockwise, and then like Dunk said, you had to race over to get a McDonald's Egg McMuffin before they shut down breakfast. So you got to get up early enough. So priorities like that.
Right here in front.
Mike, you touched on this last night, but this is for both of you. How much more difficult is it, or agonizing, the more good players you have, to pick a roster, to pick a lineup, and then how much weight do you put on the first 2 games when you're picking a lineup for elimination games?
Well, I could tell you, as the management team, the coaching staff put it, and the management team more, and the coaching staff a little bit, put a ton of work into selecting the best group to give us the best chance. Now you get them here, and you got to turn them into a team. And everybody has their own opinion, obviously, and everyone on the management team does, and everyone on the coaching staff. And the great thing about the process that we go through is, as a coaching staff, everybody tells you what they feel. And then when the game's over, I get an opportunity to talk to the management team, and they have an opinion, and they saw it from a different angle than you, and so you bounce things off of them, and they're a sounding board. And then you go to bed and you wake up in the morning and then you talk about it again. And so, believe me, these decisions aren't easy, and they're personal because it's about a player. When you have an interaction with a player, that's personal. But it's not about them. It's about our country and making the right decisions, and that's all we're going to do. We're going to keep trying to make the right decisions, and the great thing about it is we don't have to make a decision today yet. We can just talk about it and kick it around. We spoke last night. Steve and I spoke this morning. I spoke to the coaching staff already here today. We'll kick it around all day. By tomorrow, we'll have a plan.
Mike, right over here, you were talking about the roster decisions and the dialogue that you guys have been having as a staff, as a management group. What specifically kind of goes into the decision-making process, and how many kind of different layers are there of who sits and who plays?
Well, specialty teams, roles, how we get the best people on the ice, how we help the best people be the best, who really is the best, not who we thought, but who is. So I think what happens is we got great hockey people, and the opportunity for me at the Olympic Games, as much as experience and all this, to be around great hockey people so you become a better hockey person yourself. So you're gathering all the information so you can make the right decisions. So, lots goes into it. On the back end, who's the best pairs, who's playing together, who's going to be on the power play, who's on the penalty kill, who's playing the best down the middle, who can support that person, who's playing better than we thought, who's not quite as good as we thought. All those things go into play.
For either Steve or Mike, can you take us where we can't go? What's the atmosphere like in the Village? Is it different than Vancouver? Is it the same deal? What is your impression? What's going on there?
Well, it's really it's kind of serene. It's nice and quiet. There's not a lot of people around. Really, I wasn't in the Village but once, maybe in Vancouver. It's very quiet. It's well organized. It's very comfortable for the athletes to come and go, and everybody's riding around on bicycles. It seems to be the theme now, is everybody's riding a bike and getting from venue to venue. It's really convenient for if you want to go watch a different event for a little while. So I think the athletes are really enjoying it. And for me, again, being a part of it 4 times, you'd be surprised how quiet it is in the Village. The athletes are very respectful and very focused on what they're doing. So it's a really good atmosphere. I think the players, I know our players really appreciate it. They're kind of in Stanley Cup final mode. It's eat, sleep, and play, and they're not disturbed or distracted by a lot, and they can just relax and be comfortable.